Baseball boys are here. I think we're live. Is it Sunday? Is this real life? 8 o'clock? Well, 8:15. I'm late per usual. If we're ever late getting to you, it's because of your boy here, Kyle Schassburger, with David Kahn, ahead of conference tournament week for the 99 percentile of college baseball. Some wild things going on out west, including still regular season baseball to be played in conferences like the Big West. Cal State Fullerton plummeting again as they lose another weekend series, now a game and a half out of first place. Their RPI continuing to fall as they're on the wrong side of the bubble. So we'll try to go coast to coast, but as always, interact with us at CS Now Tweets, at Kyle Schass, at SportsCon4. And the SEC tournament is upon us. You and I will hit the road tomorrow. People might be wondering why I have a blanket. I am freezing, and now all of a sudden I'm hot, so at least it's doing its job. I think I ate something. I made a poor choice before we came out of the air here tonight. But nonetheless, I am here. And should I issue an apology?
I think you need to issue 2 apologies, right?
I think 3.
There's 3?
Did we determine 3 last night?
I thought it was 2.
Kahn and I were together team building on Saturday evening, and we were discussing the plan. We were workshopping this show and exactly what would be outlined over the next 45 minutes or so, we hope, because we have a lot
of work to do
before we hit the road tomorrow. I still have to go for my run. I mean, this is –
oh, my goodness.
I mean, I am in a bad place. I'm ill-prepared. I operate best when I am under
the gun.
Under the gun, though.
Yeah,
under the gun.
That's right.
It's that broadcast pressure. But,
yes.
We determined at the pool party, which, by the way, the RSVPs that we put out to you last Thursday at CS Now Tweets, I mean, I needed another week to be able to sift through all of those. I mean, it was an exclusive bunch that were allowed over, okay, at the fine apartment and establishment that yours truly resides in. And we had a heck of a time, but we also talked about one Mr. Stephen Schock, Big Donkey brand, college baseball influencer, former Virginia, App State, slew of other colleges pitcher. He's got his hat, right, that I wore on Thursday's show the last time we were on camera. And I posted a content nugget Saturday outlining that my surefire lock of the weekend would come out of the Missouri Valley Conference, and I put it on the whiteboard, and I said to Bears, the Fighting Ryan Howards, give me Missouri State to win at Indiana State 2 out of 3 and take the Valley. Well, I did it while wearing the Big Donkey brand hat. College baseball is rad. So, Schock pointed out appropriately that those two are undefeated. It's never happened before, mirroring those two. And sure enough, I would bring the bad juju on. So
you did.
I shouldn't. It was reckless behavior. It was irresponsible. I shouldn't have been repping such a mighty brand, a burgeoning brand, still in its infancy stages, but growing exponentially by the second. I shouldn't have put it under the spotlight the way that I had and made such a careless pick because Indiana State, of course, won the series.
Of course they did. I mean, look. When you are pulling in such a polarizing brand, no matter how young it is, in Big Donkey brand, you have to back it up. If you're going to bring Big Donkey and Stephen Schock into the fold, you better know what you're putting behind it and make sure that it's going to come through, and it did not. You bet against the Sycamores. I mean, that was just a careless mistake.
Very careless.
We're sorry, Big Donkey. He won't do it again.
I stepped into the kitchen, and, I was unarmed. I didn't have any knives, any utensils to wield. I was spinning plates, and hoping that they would stay afloat.
You think you're a red panda?
Yeah, I got a little red panda in me.
Yeah.
Red Shass.
Red Shass.
Red Shass. By the way, the movie on Disney Plus, Red Panda, right? Is it Red Panda? No, why am I blanking on the name of it?
It's not red. I don't think it's Red Panda.
No, it's not. What is it called? Anyways, Pudge loves it.
Okay.
I've seen that movie time and countless amounts of time. Now, the story and the lesson behind that film is controversial. So, well, I mean, do with that as you may in terms of the subliminal messaging and what the metaphorical reasoning behind that movie is. It's a little, but Disney has an knack for being a little provocative and risque from time to time.
You just don't see it when you're younger because you don't know the references.
You don't. But as an adult, when you watch some of these movies, I mean, you
pick up on them
instantly. Right out.
Do you remember the second apology that you owe to me?
Yes. So I caused you to buy a board game that was inaccurately referenced on this show.
It wasn't the board game you were talking about.
It wasn't the board. So I thought it was the Legends of the Hidden Temple board game. When we went a little 90s sideways with Nickelodeon references a couple of weeks ago, which we tend to do in the show, trust me, we'll give you our favorite conference tournaments, what we're most looking forward to this week, unpack what happened this past weekend, just so much drama, so much excitement here as we turn the page to the postseason officially. But, I steered you wrongly. And Legends of the Hidden Temple, while it is, top 5 Nickelodeon unanimated television series. It was not the Legends of the Hidden Temple board game.
Not the one you were talking about.
Not the one I was talking about that I recall playing as a kid that I vehemently and confidently, with such conviction, was trying to portray to you that, look, this game is awesome.
Yeah.
It's got a bridge that rocks. You
Olmec.
push the dude's head down. It's got a little river that your pawn, your piece, will fall into, and you got dice, you got jewels. Well, the guy whose head you smashed, and I could still hear the motor and the wheels spinning, it was not the Legend of the Hidden Temple dude.
No, it was not Olmec.
It was not Olmec.
No.
That's his name. That's right.
It was somebody. It was what was the game called? Forbidden something?
Forbidden Bridge it was
Yeah,
called.
Forbidden Bridge.
So forgive me
yeah.
for inaccurately depicting Legends of the Hidden Temple and confusing it with Forbidden Bridge. So I need to apologize to Stephen Schock. I need to apologize to you, Mr. David Kahn. And part of that same conversation, it was not Camp Anawana, the name of the show. It was Eat My Shorts.
Yeah.
Which
And
our
Adam
fearless
Witten
leader,
pointed
Adam
out.
Witten, in listening days later, brought it to my attention. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I still didn't believe it. Even after showing you the intro video
Right.
the day we did the show, this one Randy Mazie was on the program, which, West Virginia,
Oh,
man.
boy.
Need a mulligan on the weekend. My goodness.
Oh.
But, so 3 apologies. Stephen Schock, 1 to you, and really a 2nd to you for inaccurately describing not just a board game but also a television show.
I will forgive you for the board game one simply because I still am happy I got the board game. I was just confused when I opened it up and there's no bridge. There's no life-size Olmec. Like the box is like big, about as big as this Focusrite box right here. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Where's the bridge? Where's the 3D temple that I get to run through? None of that. Now, the game's still cool. I've watched a video on some people have how to play it. I've opened up all the pieces. I'm still happy that I got the game because it's one of my favorite shows back in the day. So I forgive you for that one. The Eat My Shorts one, whatever. That's more of a you inaccurately got the name wrong. Okay, that one doesn't hurt as bad. But something where I have to open my wallet and pour my hard-earned money into something that I will still enjoy. Thankfully.
I'll make it up to you this week in Hoover with some quality time, as we're 2 ships passing in the night for most of the week. But once we get to Friday evening,
Right.
Saturday, maybe I'll make it up to you, man.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will.
I am excited to play it finally. By
I
the way.
could have
You need
never
4 players.
I could have never even told you that, and you wouldn't have known.
No, I would have
But,
had no idea.
when we were poolside yesterday, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Let me Google this game.
Well, no, because I told you there was no bridge when I got the game.
Right.
We were talking about the
But I
game, and I
just
said,
kinda-
"Where's the bridge?" And you're like,
Yeah.
you have a different version." And then you looked it up, and you're like, "Wait, it's a totally different game."
It happens to the best of us.
It
man.
does.
It happens to the best of us.
I forgive you.
You know, it doesn't happen frequently at all. That's the SEC coming down to the final day.
Oh my
Of the
God!
regular season. It was the first time in 7 years that the league would be decided on the final day, and so many things had to go the way of the Florida Gators, who earned the number 1 seed in Hoover this week. They're the one. Arkansas, all they had to do was win. Okay, or Florida lost, and LSU needed to lose to Georgia. They weren't able to get the sweep. They won the first 2 games. By the way, the bullpen issues again, but Thatcher Hurd, maybe is this an illuminating moment for him as he rebounded. I'd like to circle back to the Tigers, but big picture for the league. 2 teams that are left out: Mississippi State and Ole Miss. We knew Ole Miss wouldn't be there even as far back as a week ago. Mississippi State, officially, they're not going to Hoover. So for consecutive seasons, each of our reigning and previous national champs from the past 2 years are not participating in the ensuing league tournament.
Wild.
Unreal.
I mean, we've known this for a little bit, so the initial shock and awe has worn off, I think, for Ole Miss not going. But the fact that it's now Mississippi State for a 2nd straight year after winning the national title in 2021, again, not making it to Hoover. And they were close. They needed a lot of things to break their way. Namely, Georgia needed to lose to LSU on Saturday, which didn't happen, which, again, then helped Florida win the number 1 overall seed in the SEC tournament. But, I mean, it's just dark times in the state of Mississippi for college baseball if you're not named Southern Miss. And really, Southern Miss is going to enter a new era because Scott Berry's retiring.
Yeah, Ostrander officially names the head coach on Sunday, 14th head coach in team history. Scott Berry for Southern Miss, we gave that news to you on Thursday's pod as he announced earlier in the week he would hang it up. More than 500, and I think he's at 519 now after they took two out of three from Louisiana over the weekend. So Southern Miss will enter the Sun Belt tournament as the 2 seed. Plenty of motivation, further motivation behind the Golden Eagles, as you're right, really the only team of legitimacy in the Deep South. In that state, in the Magnolia State, the only team that matters.
Sorry,
I mean, it's so bizarre though to consider. Again, like, just take a step back, breathe, think about it. Ole Miss won the national championship this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State won it 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and neither made their conference tournament in the season immediately following winning the national.
I'm gonna make it even more recent. This Mississippi State team beat LSU in a series
2 out of 3
2 weekends ago. Not long ago, and they can't get over the hump. Which, by the way, the A&M Mississippi State back and forth wildness was one of the many series that was crazy over the weekend. But you had A&M in the first game winning 8-7 or leading 8-7 late. Then Mississippi State comes back and pulls the rug out from under them, and then A&M does it right back to Mississippi State. And you imagine if Mississippi State wins that series, does A&M have a prayer of getting into the field? I don't think so.
No.
But like, they got it back. Now they have a chance. They still have to do well in Hoover. They need to beat Tennessee on Tuesday in the opener in the 7 versus 10 matchup for sure. But there's a glimmer of hope for the Aggies. But if they had lost to Mississippi State, I would have said it wouldn't have mattered unless they made it to the semis to get into the field.
They still got work to do, though.
Absolutely,
right? Like they need to make.
They
sure
go one and done. They're not getting.
They've got to win on Tuesday. Let's look at the one and done games. And so your seeds 1 through 4 in the SEC. The number 1 seed is Florida. Now it's a share with Arkansas. So Arkansas is promoting that this is their 4th regular season championship inside the conference. Florida, though, gets the 1 seed via which tiebreaker was it? God, there were so many scenarios.
So it was the Vanderbilt series that Florida swept Vandy, and Arkansas won 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
Yeah. So because Florida swept.
No. Arkansas Vandy was this past weekend. They lost.
Oh, right. Sorry.
2 out of 3.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So Florida swept Vandy. Arkansas only won once, and because Florida didn't play LSU, that would have been the initial tiebreaker. But because Florida didn't play LSU, that one got washed away, and then it went down to Vanderbilt for common opponents, and Florida had the sweep over the Commodores.
What a wild series that one was, Arkansas and Vandy. I mean, Arkansas took game 1, okay, impressively.
Yeah. Peyton Holt, by the way. Oh, my God.
Defensively.
Might be better than Peyton Stovall defensively.
Might be. And Dave Van Horn just had an all-time, quote during the live in-game interview. And that's what these interviews were meant for, but you rarely get it where a coach can be authentic and genuine and be transparent. And then a play as miraculous as the one was, the one of 2. It was the first of 2, I think, at that moment on the night that Peyton Holt, who's not a backup, according to Dave Van Horn, and this was the beauty of his language, of what he said, him reacting to the moment on a diving play from Holt and saying, whoa, that's my backup. That's what, like, just reacting, pure joy, like not believing it, and then continuing. He's like, you know what? At Arkansas, we don't say you're a backup. You don't come here as a backup. You're a future starter. Boom. Chills.
Yeah.
I mean, just that tells you everything you need to know about the Arkansas program and Dave Van Horn.
It does, and I feel like you can say a very similar notion about a lot of the guys at Tennessee. Take, Hunter Ensley, Christian Scott, Christian Moore. You go up and down this list.
Guys who have waited their turn.
Even Austin Jaslov, who played when Maui Ahuna was out due to the ineligibility at the beginning of the year. A lot of these guys have been sitting there waiting in the wings to get their shot, and they've been just bombarded by superstars in front of them. And now they finally are getting their opportunity, and a lot of these new guys are delivering, let alone along with these other transfers that Tennessee's brought in, like Ahuna, like a Griffin Merritt, and other people offensively. I'm not even talking about the pitchers, and, well, we have to touch on Andrew Lindsey if you're talking about transfers at Tennessee on the mound, because he helped save their season by becoming their Friday night guy. But anyways, the point is, I think those two programs are very similar, and of course they've recently had a very high-level matchup in the SEC tournament 2 years ago when Arkansas beat them in the championship game. But I think those two programs and those two head coaches feel very similarly about the word backup. Sure. It's not a backup. You are just the next starter.
So Florida's the 1. Arkansas is the 2. LSU is the 3. Vanderbilt is the 4. So the Commodores, I think, winning that series too, all but cheers up that they're going to be a top 8 national
lock
seed.
it in.
And I think really, and Kendall Rogers had a good write-up about this that was posted on Sunday, him stating and I agree, I'm sure you do as well, I think 7 of those 8 teams are locked up.
Yeah, the only one that's not is the final one, which you'd right now would probably say Virginia because they beat Georgia Tech over the weekend. But
Which I forgot all about Virginia.
I did too because they were falling off the face of the planet. But right now you'd say it's Virginia. I think their RPI's at 9, so they look good. But if they flounder in the ACC tournament, it could be very much up for grabs. Coming into this weekend, I thought it was going to be West Virginia as that final eighth top 8 national seed because they looked unbeatable, and then Texas embodied, the literal form of Goliath and just smacked them all over the place for 3 straight games. I was talking to Andrew Caridi, the voice of West Virginia baseball, earlier today, and I said, dude, what happened? And he goes, that's the best 3 games of baseball Texas has played all year, and the worst that we've played. Plain and simple. That was it. Texas decided to just become superhuman. They you ever watch Dragon Ball Z as a child or seen it?
Yeah,
they went Super Saiyan. Yeah,
okay.
They went Super Saiyan for 3 games.
I actually used to. One of my good friends was an artist, and he would draw those characters. And
I had one of those too, but he did Pokemon.
He would do Pokemon. He did some Dragon Ball Z, and I didn't care about the show. I just wanted to draw like him. I wanted him to teach me. So
isn't it really cool? People can do that.
I have like some foundational, some very minor abilities, but still I think relevant when it comes to trying to sketch out a Dragon Ball Z guy. So I'll have to sketch. You know what? That's how I will.
Oh, you're gonna draw me something.
Make up for you.
Okay.
In terms of my apology, I'll have some time on my hands while you're out calling the day session with Tim Bickford. I'm out doing the evening session with Phil Brame. During the day I'll sketch you a picture, and that will be my form of an apology for you buying the Legends of the Temple board game.
Okay.
I'll make it like a caricature. Or
a caricature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I look forward to that.
I'll turn you into something. I'll make you a Dragon Ball Z guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Virginia, their RPI is 9. They finished the ACC with 19 league wins here during the regular season. We'll give you the pod setup for the ACC. We'll try and bounce through at least the major conferences. Just give you the field quickly on some of those that we're most paying attention to. But to close the loop on the SEC, again, the top 4, Vanderbilt sneaks in as the 4, also securing, I think, with that Arkansas win, a top 8 overall seed. But the way they did it, they were down 8-2. 8-2 in game 2, and it's the Arkansas bullpen that implodes.
Troy Leneve
doing it not just on Saturday night for the lead on 3-run bomb, but, doing it twice. Yeah, doing it on Friday night and on Saturday night. Spectacular drama. I was locked into that game, had it on the TV, but Arkansas giving that one away, and, that they saw their number 1 seed hopes kind of blow up in smoke.
Leneve's a senior, right? So this is like it was on senior day when he did it for the second time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing if you're Arkansas, we've all been seeing the downturn of LSU thinking, oh, okay, well, Arkansas is just, this unstoppable force that no matter how many guys get hurt, and again, we saw another dude get hurt in Peyton Stovall, but Peyton Holt's like, no, it's fine. I got it. We're good.
And who was it? John Bolden, the collision with Peyton Holt in the outfield, too, in Friday night's game?
Oh, yeah. We were worried about that.
I don't know if Bolden played on Saturday.
No, Holt was fine. But
yeah, Holt stayed in.
Yeah. But still, you think that Arkansas is just on a collision course for the number 1 overall seed, and then all of a sudden Vanderbilt, who we had all left for dead because they'd lost back-to-back series, woke up in a huge way. Yeah. Vanderbilt, remember, had just lost to Alabama 2 of 3, got swept by Florida. And then Arkansas, you like, oh, well, they get swept by Florida? They're not beating Arkansas 2 of 3. Think again. And like you said, it was a 6-run lead in the 8th inning for Arkansas that would have closed out that series.
6-run comeback, largest for Vanderbilt since an 8-run rally against Ole Miss in the 2019 SEC tournament. I was on the board for that game because that was part of their national championship run.
Oh, right.
When they won the tournament title. They, I believe they were the 1 seed, too, winning the regular season. I could be mistaken, but
that adds up.
So
Tim Corbin and the number 1 seed are 2 things that mesh very well together.
Yeah. LSU is the 3 seed. They'll have the first game on day 2, so they'll have the winner of Georgia and South Carolina. You'll have the call with Tim to get things underway. 11-seeded Dogs who sneak in after beating LSU in the finale on Saturday, taking on 6-seeded South Carolina, who's now dropped 4 consecutive SEC series. Talk about injuries again. I mean, this team is just plagued with them, both in the rotation, in the bullpen. Positional players, Peyton McGillis, you thought he was coming back, and then he doesn't come back, and you just don't know the health of this team moving forward. And I think that makes Georgia more dangerous here. But what are we getting? We're getting Charlie Condon against Ethan Petrie.
Yeah, which is what
cool.
we all want
Yes.
on the offensive side. My question is, who's starting for both of these
Who's
teams? Who's going to pitch? We know what we're going to see offensively. It's Ethan Petrie versus Charlie Condon, which Condon has run away with the SEC Freshman of the Year. He's going to win that, like, no question about it. We'll see that come out probably tomorrow morning. But, yeah, that vaunted matchup, we're going to see that, who will show out better in a, winner-take-all game where one of you is going home. And if Georgia goes home, that's it. They're done.
Yeah.
South Carolina should be in the field. But Georgia right now is very much out. Beating South Carolina will certainly help them, but I still think Georgia has to go to Friday at least.
I would agree.
To get in.
Thursday, they got to win 2 games for sure. Which means, even if they win and then lose on Wednesday, come back and win on Thursday, that they got to pick up 2 wins to have a chance.
And that's why I'm curious, will Georgia be more aggressive because every game is their season versus South Carolina, who, unlike last year when every game was their season, and yeah, they lost to Florida in extra innings and were done, but they were more aggressive last year. Will Georgia adopt that same attitude, and who will they pitch to match that aggressive nature? Because, remember, they are without Jaden Woods. He's been out the last 5 weekends with bicep tendonitis.
Yeah.
So he can't pitch. Now, they've inserted some other guys that have been stable, but Jaden Woods is supposed to be their dude, and they haven't had their dude for over a month.
Texas A&M Tennessee is the second game on the first day of the SEC tournament on Tuesday. 10-7 matchup. The Vols, the 7 seed, who swept the Aggies early in the SEC season. What was that, second weekend of the year?
Yep.
Texas A&M, the 10 seed. Winner of that one will have Arkansas. And then the night session, Alabama, the 9, Kentucky, the 8 seed. So your 9-8 winner will have top seed at Florida in game 1 of the evening session on Wednesday. And the Missouri, the 12 seed, getting back to Hoover after not being there a year ago, taking on 5-seeded Auburn. As the Tigers won that series in the Battle of Tigers, and now they got it this past weekend. Now they meet again right out of the gates on Tuesday.
Classic.
Yeah, very classic.
Look, good for Missouri, right? By the way, my lock, it hit. I only made 1 lock all year. Boom.
Good for
Cash
you.
it.
All right? You going to brag? Okay? You're going to kick me when I'm down?
I'm not arguing. I'm just explaining why I'm right.
Come on. I'm sick. I'm wounded. I feel woozy, lightheaded. I'm drinking a pop, for goodness sakes. When have you ever seen me drink a pop?
It's rare.
Okay?
It's a rare occasion. If it's not combined with some form of alcohol, I don't see you drink it.
Well, I don't drink alcohol, man.
Okay.
Well,
now you have to apologize to the listeners for lying.
Well, to celebrate certain occasions.
Okay.
And you know what? Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
All right. Okay. Very good. Should
okay.
we go to the ACC?
Yeah, let's talk. I'm trying to think if there's anything else from the SEC over the weekend. I don't think there is.
No,
let's give you
I
the
mean,
pods.
there was a ton of shuffle madness, which we already hit on. But, yeah, I mean, the stories are Florida has swooped in and taken the number 1 seed, and now Arkansas, LSU are playing a little bit underrated to a degree. I mean, they're 2-3 in the SEC tournament, yes, but people are saying, oh, well, they've been faltering. Like, like they're in trouble. Well, they're going to play with more of a chip on their shoulder now more than ever. And so is Tennessee, who, after last year, just ran right through the SEC tournament, 4 wins and done, now has to go all the way from Tuesday's single elimination format to go through and defend their title. They're 8-2 in their last 2 SEC tournaments, but nobody's ever come out of the Tuesday single elimination format and won the whole damn thing. Tennessee's going to have to try and do that.
The last thing I did want to say about LSU and Thatcher Hurd on Friday night. So 5-3 lead LSU has. Dylan Cruz hits a home run to get you insurance. And then top of the 9th inning, Foley Field. Nasty weather for at least Athens and Foley Field this time of the year as it was really windy. I've got family who was at that series before they trekked to Hoover, who I'll meet up with this weekend. They left early. They got tired of seeing the Thatcher Hurd and this bullpen implode. I think they left in the 11th inning.
Yeah.
Well, it took until the 12th. But Thatcher Hurd gave up back-to-back bombs in the 9th inning, operating with a 5-3 lead, and Paul Skeens can't get his 11th win of the year. Skeens, though, per usual, was masterful. But what I want to focus on is Thatcher Hurd. So he gives up the back-to-back home runs. And what does Jay Johnson? Look, I got nobody else, kid.
Yep.
This is your game.
Yep.
This is your game.
Take
Let
the
it
ball,
ride.
boy.
Take the ball, and he took it, and he threw 71 pitches across 5 total innings. 3 hits, 2 of those being the back-to-back bombs in the bottom of the 9th. And he struck out 5, walked 1.
Yeah. He rebounded.
Is this the moment, the illuminating moment, the flashpoint for Thatcher Hurd in an LSU uniform? Not just for him personally. This is going to give him, I think, all the confidence he needs. Now it's a matter to at least go to take the ball the next time, and he's going to have a cleaner mindset, okay? And we'll see how he reacts. But giving himself this performance is going to aid him in future appearances. But how does the rest of the bullpen react or feed off of this moving forward? It also can serve as an illuminating moment where things maybe the fortunes start to reverse.
What this does for Thatcher Hurd is you're exactly right. It gives him some confidence that, hey, even if he gets hit to begin an outing, he's okay. He's got to have the right mentality, that mindset of stuff happens. Like, forget about it and go to the next batter. He was able to do that against Georgia this past weekend. Yeah, now the question is there a trickle-down effect to the rest of that bullpen that is so helter-skelter, Jekyll and Hyde for the last couple of weeks especially? But it was good to see after Ty Floyd pitched on Friday that the LSU bullpen was fine. No big deal. Closed out the game, 2 innings, goodbye. That was it. So there are flashpoints where you go, this LSU team is totally fine. And then there are other flashpoints where you go, yeah. When the ball's not in Paul Skeen's hands, what do we do if you're LSU? So we'll see how it plays out. They've got a bye. They don't play until Wednesday morning in Hoover, and they'll play either a very wounded South Carolina team or a Georgia team that's fighting for their lives.
Let's stay with the same exotic animal and go to the ACC. So Clemson, another series win, and
Unreal.
It's a sweep of the Tar Heels. 7 straight series wins. They've swept 4 out of the last 5, 20 conference wins in all, and as Kendall Rogers appropriately pointed out on Twitter, a top 8 seed lock. They were 16-13 overall, 2-7 in league play after getting beat by Wake Forest. They were swept, right? Mm-hmm. By the Deacs at Doug Kingsmore. Mm-hmm. Think about that: 16-13, 2-7,
and now they're a top 8 seed.
God,
7 straight ACC wins to close the year. Eric Bakich is the coach of the year in the ACC. It's done. I know Wake Forest pulled off the perfect season. I understand. They didn't lose a series all year. They went 10 for 10 in the ACC. Congratulations. That's phenomenal. It's Eric Bakich. What he did to institute that turnaround and get Clemson to where they are right now from where they were, you just mentioned, 3 games above 500, 5 games below 500 in league play. That should be a death nail in your season for a lot of teams. And he said, nope, we're fine. We'll figure it out. And they figured it out. And Caden Grice shoved again this weekend, too. No surprise there. Yeah.
Two-way player love for Jack Keglone as well. Each of those guys
Cags
shoved
was
at
awesome.
the same time on Saturday.
Yeah.
Each of them given 7+ innings. Cags, I think, had 8 Ks. Grice had 9. Both of them performed at the plate. I mean, you love to see it.
Cags has much more confidence on the mound now, you think, over the last couple starts he's had where he's been really, really good. And that's going to pay such huge dividends for an SEC tournament where we're seeing a lot of teams that are bludgeoned with injuries on the mound. And Florida has 3 dudes, Sproat, Waldrop, Caglione. I mean, good luck to anybody who faces the Gators. Seriously.
So Clemson, RPI of 7, top 8 lock, we believe, back to the ACC, 39-17 after starting 16-13. Not a math guy, but what is that, 23-4 the rest of the way?
After going 16-13?
Yeah.
You said 39-17?
Yeah.
23-4.
Yeah.
Yep.
39-17, just remarkable. 4th best strength of schedule also. So here's the pods.
Unreal.
And then this is our habitual ceremony. What's the word I'm looking for? We talk about this every single year.
Oh, pool play.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could go degradation of the pools or whatever. I don't know. We hate it.
It's a customary spot for us to talk about how much we hate this pool play.
Yeah.
And Pool A consists of the number 1 seed, Wake Forest, 8-seeded Notre Dame, 12-seeded Pitt. Pool B, 2-seeded Virginia, 7-seeded North Carolina, 11-seeded Georgia Tech. Clemson, the 3, BC, the 6, Virginia Tech, the 10. They make up Pool C. And the Miami, Duke, NC State, Murderers Row, as it should be if you're going to design the field this way. In Pool D, Canes at 4, Blue Devils at 5. Miami running away with the rubber game. 10-1 was the final on Saturday in Coral Gables after extra innings were needed on Friday, and Miami was able to pull even with the series. Alex Stone for Duke, 28-game hitting streak. Very impressive. And then NC State, much-needed sweep of Pittsburgh to put themselves back. I wouldn't say maybe on the right side. I don't know. But they're there. They needed that.
The RPI got boosted.
Yeah.
Hugely.
They needed that.
They got to 13 ACC wins, and that's a big number for them. Now, the unfortunate part is they're on the wrong side of the bubble, So unless they win the ACC tournament, I still don't think they get in. Maybe if they make it to Sunday like they did last year, but then again, they made it to Sunday last year. Their record was better, and they still didn't get in. But we're going to run into the same thing that happened last year. NC State's going to go on some kind of crazy run in the tournament, and they're going to be the first team out again, and we're going to have part 3 of the NCAA screwing NC State. But I want to say this year it is not the NCAA. It's NC State did not have a good ACC record. 13-16, it's right there, but it's not going to get it done based on the other teams that we have projected in the ACC.
And because of pool play, they're severely handicapped their ability to be able to even make a run because even as a 9 seed, let's say they beat Miami, okay? Mm-hmm. And let me look at the matchup. So in the pool play, you play each of the other teams. So you've got 2 scheduled games, right?
So they're playing Miami and Duke.
And NC State's first game, they play Duke. NC State then plays Miami on day 3 of the tournament. But let's say State lost to Duke, but then beat Miami. And then everybody's like 1-1-1 in the pod. Mm-hmm. Well, even though the Wolfpack beat the highest seeded team in their pod at 4, they're not moving on to the semifinals.
Highest seed advances.
Because the highest seed advances.
Yep. If NC State loses one game, they're done. Their season's over.
They have to win both.
Yep.
They have to win both. That's their only.
Same thing with Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
If they lose one game, they're done. Their season is over.
Yeah, if you're one of the middle seeds, you need a little bit of help, perhaps.
Yeah.
But
I personally think, and we mentioned this yesterday when we were talking about this pod setup, I don't think 3 of these 4 pools are going to be any kind of competitive. I really don't. I think it's Wake, Virginia, and Clemson pretty easily in all 3 of those. Either because it's going to be a 1-1-1 scenario and the higher seed will move on, or they're just going to run through it. Like, I don't see Wake having any issues with Notre Dame or Pitt. Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia Tech obviously had won 2 in a row. Then they lost to Virginia, so they've just played each other. Virginia feels good about that. North Carolina, I think, is probably more the one that could surprise out of that pool and get out of there over Virginia because we've seen Virginia have a little bit of inconsistency, but I still think the Cavaliers will take care of it. And then Pool C, Clemson's the hottest team not named Wake Forest in the ACC. And they've won 7 straight ACC series. If BC and Virginia Tech can get out of that pool, amazing. I don't see it happening. Now, Pool D, I think any one of those 3 teams could emerge. I have no idea who's going to get out of that pool. And Duke and Miami just played.
Yeah. Wake, again, perfect season with no series losses all season
long.
Now,
they didn't play a single actual non-con series. Let's put that out there. The only actual true 3-game series they played were in ACC play.
Right, it was always
awkward. Tournament, round robin, midweek, whatever.
2 games on a Saturday.
Yeah, which is fine, whatever. That's how the schedule was made, and you know what? They still didn't lose a series. Good for them. But we do have to acknowledge the fact that they did not play any true non-con series.
Sure.
They played a lot of home-standing tournaments at a ballpark that favors this team. But they went 10 for 10 in the ACC, so throw that to the wind because it doesn't matter. That's still amazing. And they have the number 1 RPI in the country.
So outside of the final pod, we think the top teams in each pod are moving on, and then it'll come down to Duke or Miami, likely.
Probably.
To join in the semis. No, I would agree there.
Yeah.
So where do you want to hop to next? Big 12, since we kind of touched on West Virginia and Texas already.
Yeah, we have to.
Do we have the seeds? You got the bracket? I'm trying to find the bracket. We need a central hub
the bracket.
of all these brackets.
Yeah, I have the bracket up because I just sent it out earlier
cold
today.
Again. For those watching on YouTube.
Honestly, it is a little chilly in here. Okay, so here's the thing. Big 12 bracket, the number 1 seed. So Oklahoma State, Texas, West Virginia all share the Big 12 regular season title. It's West Virginia's first Big 12 regular season title in program history, but Texas, because they won the head-to-head over West Virginia, gets the number 1 seed, even though they're all tied with Oklahoma State, because even though Oklahoma State beat Texas, since there's 3 teams tied, you had to go to a collective head-to-head against one another.
Right.
Texas was 4-2. Oklahoma State was 3-3. So Texas gets in. Oklahoma State, even though West Virginia beat them in the series, Oklahoma State had a better collective head-to-head, 3-3 versus 2-4. Oklahoma State's the 2. West Virginia's the 3. I know that's complicated, and a lot of you are going, what in the heck? My head's spinning too, I promise, but I've looked at this too many times to not know exactly what it was. So you got Texas as the 1. You have 2 4-team pods in the Big 12 tournament. That's kind of how it works. It's 2 brackets. So you've got Texas and Kansas, game 1, on the tops part, and then TCU and Kansas State, both massive bubble teams, facing off with one another on the other part of the top side of the bracket, and it's double elimination in the Big 12. Then the bottom side, which I actually think West Virginia got really lucky in their draw. West Virginia plays Texas Tech to open, who they beat 2 out of 3 from in Morgantown in a very contentious series. And then you've got Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, Bedlam. They just played, and they're playing again, 2 versus 7 in the other part of that bottom bracket. I think West Virginia got the better draw here in terms of who they've played because they've already beaten all 3 of these teams. They know they can do it. Now, granted, they had their worst series of the year against Texas and got swept. But throw it out the window. Who cares? It's the Big 12 tournament. You got to right the ship and move on. So they play the last game Wednesday night against Texas Tech, who probably was their toughest of those 3 that they played this season between Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech to beat. Because Texas Tech, remember, came in game 1 and beat them. So if you're West Virginia, you want to get that revenge game and not go into the consolation side of the bracket because then you've got to play more games. And West Virginia right now, their offense has carried them a lot of the time when their pitching has been a little suspect. Their pitching has sometimes figured itself out. We've seen a lot of really good stuff from Hampton, Traxel, Porco, and others. But I think for West Virginia, you need to outmuscle Texas Tech because Texas Tech is all about the offense. So the Mountaineers will need to hit and hit a lot in this Big 12 tournament. No weather to worry about.
No weather.
It's in a dome, Globe Life Field, ballpark at Arlington. Thank God for that. Second year they're doing it there. We'll see. I really am very curious who comes out of the bottom bracket. I think Texas will emerge out of this foursome. Just looking at the teams, TCU and Kansas State both have a lot to play for. Texas is firmly in the field. I think West Virginia is in as well. But the question is, who's going to host out of the Big 12? Will it only be the team that gets out of the tournament as the champion? Will there only be one? Will there be more? We were talking about West Virginia as a top 8 seed last week.
Texas and Oklahoma State,
they're right there.
Could make it 3, depending on how things shake out this weekend. I have nothing on the Big 12. You are a resident Big 12 expert.
I am,
so naturally, as the studio producer and host for West Virginia football and men's basketball and also coordinating that network, I just kind of, because of you, we had Randy Mazie on the program, all right? That's all you. It's you and his wife and the Zooming that you had done during COVID.
Hello, Amanda.
COVID, okay? That's what made that happen.
You know what's wild? I saw Amanda actually tweeted something out over the weekend. Remember we talked about Randy Mazie's son, Weston Mazie, and the horrific accident that he had? So 2 years ago, yesterday, was when he arrived back to the team for the first time since that accident. They didn't know he was coming. He just showed up and surprised the team.
Yeah.
And you know where they were?
Where?
At Texas. And yesterday, they were at Texas. And Amanda tweeted that out before the game to hopefully stir some positive juju.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. But still, one of those things where what a coincidence. 2 years ago to the day was when he came back and was like, hey, I'm alive. I'm good. Let's go.
Such a horrific injury.
A wild, but an inspirational story, honestly, which thankfully it turned into that. But yeah, it unfortunately did not stir any kind of positive momentum for West Virginia. And Randy Mazie was very vocal about hey, look, you still won the Big 12. You didn't win it outright, but you still won the Big 12. You can rest your laurels on the fact that you won the Big 12 conference, or at least, partly. So if hopefully West Virginia can flip the switch, but if not, they may not even host, which we kind of thought it was a virtual lock as long as they won one game against Texas.
Consecutive weeks, they were projected as a top 8 national seed.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly that can blow up in smoke and evaporate, dissipate right before your eyes.
We'll see.
Maryland,
should be a really fun tournament.
Maryland in the Big Ten, back-to-back Big Ten titles. Now the Terps aren't going to be hosting like they did last year, but still, terrific job. 37-19, 17-7 in the league. They haven't lost a Big Ten series, right? Going back a couple of years, I think it was the number I was seeing. But Rob Vaughn and the Terps just continue to keep winning, and they'll be the number 1 seed. They've become the standard. And really, with Bakich vacating Michigan and heading to Clemson, who is going to challenge now Rob Vaughn and this Maryland program for Big Ten supremacy? The field, as it is laid out, again, Maryland is the number 1 seed. These games will all begin on Tuesday, which is May 23rd. The 2 seed is Indiana, 2-7 matchup, Indiana-Illinois. Iowa's the 3 seed, 3-6, 6-seeded Wolverines. So Iowa and Michigan winner will have the winner of Indiana and Illinois. Maryland gets the 8 seed. The top 8 are the only ones who get an invite to the Big Ten baseball tournament, which is played at the home of the College World Series at Charles Schwab Field.
Sure is.
Maryland, the 1, is 8-seeded Michigan State. The winner will face Nebraska, the 4-seed, or 5-seeded Rutgers. So,
but by the way, Rutgers, holy smokes! I mean, I don't think they have a prayer of getting in the field unless they win the whole tournament.
I think you're right.
In the early portion of the midseason projections, when they started putting out the field of 64, Rutgers was always flirting with being in, last team in, first one out, maybe hanging around there, and they lost another series this past week.
And you can't lose to Minnesota.
No.
You can't lose to Minnesota.
You can't.
Dropped to 61 in the RPI, finished the regular season 5th in the standings, 2-8 against RPI top 50. Not just a bubble team, writes Kendall Rogers. Probably one that needs to win the title in the automatic bid to make the field.
Kendall said it perfectly right.
So that's the Big Ten tournament. They'll also need a new coach at Penn State.
Yes.
I think this is, by my count, the 11th opening. Now, we ended with 48 openings off last year through the entire offseason. I don't think we're going to even, challenge, flirt with, scratch the surface of 48
Got some big ones open, though.
From a year ago. There are some big ones open.
Alabama, of course.
Yeah, Rob Cooper resigns after 10 seasons at Penn State. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the Penn State baseball program, but everything I needed to know I saw on national television a week ago when they wore uniforms that said "We Are" on the front and Penn State in the nameplate.
Get out.
Get off me.
Yep.
Just
don't like it.
Horrid.
Don't
Especially when you were going up against a Nebraska team that was wearing, I think it was Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
Super clean.
Yes.
All whites with the cursive script across the front, just clean as all get up. And then you're going to disgracefully, just take all.
It wasn't a good look.
Take all of the shine off those uniforms on the field with a "We Are" across the front and Penn State in the nameplate.
Which
it's JV. That's what we do.
I don't even associate the phrase "We Are" with Penn State. I associate it with Marshall.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, Penn State does have a phrase, "We Are Penn State," but when I hear "We Are," I think Marshall every time. I never think Penn State. So maybe that's just me and not being in that area or around that program or that university. But I don't know. It just seemed like a really, I don't know the right word for it. A really inopportune jersey style to go put out there randomly, because I don't think they'd worn it before, or if they had, it hadn't gotten as much pomp and circumstance as it did when we saw them when they played Nebraska.
Pac-12, Stanford's your number 1 seed, RPI at 12, won the Pac-12 regular season title easily, 13 wins against RPI top 50, 17-7 on the road, part of their ledger and credentials that certainly makes them worthy of a top 8 seed. But as we documented last week, there's a reason why, in spite of them being ranked 2 or 3, rather, behind LSU, like, they haven't played anybody, So because of that, because of the lack, they don't have a single, I think, top 25 RPI win. All of those are coming in the 26 to 50 range. So Stanford is going to get hit on that, but they're still going to be a top 8 overall national seed. I think even if they fall flat on their face in the Pac-12 tournament, which they shouldn't, but they are the 1 seed. They will begin play. This is the weird pool play, an expanded Pac-12 tournament that Kahn was able to provide information on last week when we potted late on Monday night. The 9 seed sneaks in. You get one more team sneaking in. 9-6 matchup, Cal and Oregon. That will be the nightcap on day 1. Pool A. Pool B will begin play with Arizona, the 8 seed, 5-seeded Arizona State. So some territorial cup action right there. By the way, the Sun Devils, hat tip, 3,000 program wins.
Congratulations
for them. Nice little graphic on social media earlier this day paying homage and respects
Willie Bloom
to all of the former players and legendary players and coaches that have coached in Tempe. 7-seeded UCLA, 4-seeded USC. So you got rivalries right off the bat. In Arizona State, UCLA, USC. Day 2 is when we'll see Oregon State for the first time when they have Arizona. Washington will debut. They'll play UCLA, and Stanford will have the 1-9 game against Cal. Stanford's other game is against 6-seeded Oregon. So, again, wonky pool play.
We explained that there's the 3 pool winners and then 1 wild card winner, which if the records are tied, it goes to the higher seed.
Yeah.
So
sure.
that's how it happens. That's how you get your 4 teams. Then you play 2 semis in the championship on Saturday, and that's it. which we all think Stanford's going to win this whole thing.
Yeah, so each team's guaranteed the 2 games. Stanford won it last year, the inaugural tournament title with just 8 teams.
Yeah, where they had just a bracket, which you should have kept, but that's neither here nor there.
Defeated Oregon State in that game. Cardinal, over their last 4 games, they've outscored opponents 35-20, so the offense continues to be there. But, again, I just can't wait to see a quality mid-major go to Palo Alto because we saw it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Was it Texas
UConn.
State? It was UConn.
Mm-hmm. Who almost beat them.
Yeah.
1 game away. They took them to 3 games, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right, what
UConn
else?
flew all the way to Palo Alto after emerging out of the College Park Regional in Maryland. Like, UConn, if people forget, UConn, who, by the way, won their 3rd straight Big East regular season title, congratulations to Hook C, the road they had last year was nuts, and they were a game away from Omaha. Crazy. And they had to go to Palo Alto against a blue blood program in Stanford and try and do it. Goodness. Which, by the way, the Big East tournament, I really didn't know much about it. There's only 4 teams.
Yeah.
The double elimination 4-team
Ohio,
format.
don't they?
It's played in Mason, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yes. Xavier is the de facto host of that tournament.
Joy.
Yes.
Joy.
But UConn just continues to own the Big East. 3 straight regular season titles.
CAA, they'll have 6 participants, and the 1 seed belongs to UNC Wilmington. After a sweep of William & Mary over the weekend, William & Mary will have the 2nd game on day 1 of this tournament when they play Northeastern. Delaware and Charleston will be the other 2. The reason why we're highlighting the CAA because this is a team that we've toyed with the idea that they could get 3 teams in, or at certain into the tournament. At some point, they were worthy of that. At this point, I don't know. Like Northeastern, don't bow out, don't lose a game before you get to UNC Wilmington, and you would do yourself a massive favor by playing UNC Wilmington. Now, if they win against William & Mary on Wednesday, they would play 2-seeded Elon. So the Phoenix are the 2 seed, and UNCW awaits the winner of Delaware and Charleston.
They're the one team, the Phoenix. They're the one team where I'm a little unnerved if I'm playing the Phoenix because I think they're the team that could surprise everyone and go out and win this whole tournament. And if they do, then you're at least getting 2 teams in, if maybe 3, depending on how Northeastern does. I think UNC Wilmington's a lock no matter what. Northeastern should be in, but like you said, they lose game 1, and all of a sudden you go, uh-oh. After a program record year number of wins for Northeastern, they lose first game in the tournament, you go, I don't know.
Yeah.
So as long as they win 1, I think if Elon comes back and wins the tournament, you could get 3 in from the CAA. But I think that's the only way that happens.
Sunbelt Conference, multiple bids exist there as well. Coastal sweeps Marshall. They win the Sunbelt regular season title. Southern Miss won 2 out of 3 over Louisiana, as we talked about near the top of the show. So Southern Miss is the 2 seed. Coastal is the 1 seed. This one is I'm trying to – do you understand this format entirely? It's 2 brackets.
The Sunbelt tournament,
it's very
similar to the Big 12.
Yes. So, like, Southern Miss is on one side and Coastal Carolina is on the other side.
Yep.
There is a loser's bracket they can come out of, and they seed up to 10. So 10 teams are in. ODU is the 10 seed. Will play 7-seeded James Madison. That's on Tuesday, first-round games. And Georgia Southern will have 8-seeded Georgia State. The Panthers, again, went from a host last year, the 16th overall seed, to being the 9 seed in a game under 500 entering the Sun Belt Conference tournament.
You mean Georgia Southern?
Georgia Southern, yeah. What did I say?
Georgia State.
Oh, yeah, Georgia Southern.
Okay. But, yeah, correct. I mean, listen, Coastal and Southern Miss are the 2 teams going to the tournament out of this. I don't think it matters what
Texas
happens.
State shot themselves in the foot last week, right?
Right. And they did it again.
Did they?
Yeah. I don't.
What about Troy? What did Troy do this past weekend?
I'm not sure. Unless somebody else wins the tournament, it's Coastal and Southern Miss. Like Texas State was flirting. They're like a Rutgers. They've been flirting with it for so long, and they just haven't done enough.
Oh. Troy took 2 out of 3. They had a chance at sweeping App.
Okay.
So they won games they were supposed to.
And they're playing App again right off the bat.
On Wednesday.
Amazing. Those games are in Montgomery.
Yes.
Yeah, Montgomery, Alabama, Riverwalk Stadium.
Home of the Biscuits.
Yes.
Remember we talked about our favorite biscuit, our goat biscuit
Oh,
recently.
right.
That's why.
Yes.
That's how they came into existence.
Okay.
That's how it came to be.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
but no, I don't. It's Coastal and Southern Miss.
Yeah.
If a team not named Coastal Carolina or Southern Miss wins the Sun Belt tournament, I will be stunned. Period. End of statement.
Any other little guys you want to talk about? Because I am in pain.
Big South, Should we mention the fact that Campbell almost coughed up the Big South #1 overall seed
my
in the
gosh.
title?
Yeah.
Dude,
Explain.
they lost the first 2 games to USC Upstate in Spartanburg, and so it became a winner-take-all game on Saturday in the Big South, where if Campbell wins, they win the title, they get the 1 seed. USC Upstate wins, they get the title, they get the 1 seed. There's only 4 teams in the Big South. Campbell has owned the Big South. Owned it. They're moving. They're leaving the Big South after this year because they're like, we're too good for you. We're moving to greener pastures. And USC Upstate says, well, we're going to send you out with a big old stinker and possibly sweep you. That first inning on Saturday, there were 8 runs scored in the first inning. USC Upstate led 5-3 after the first inning against Campbell in the winner-take-all game on Saturday. Campbell won. They took care of it. They won the Big South. Whatever. They're going to have the 1 seed going next week. But it was just really wild to see that. And USC Upstate, in order to get their fans into the ballpark, said, hey, regular season finale, free admission. No charge for tickets. Just walk into the ballpark, which I thought was pretty cool.
That is cool. East Carolina, 4th straight year AAC regular season champs.
Congrats to the Pirates.
And they had one more game that they played that Houston did not have, who ended up winning that series. So the Cougars with a gripe there. 3 up and 3 down, I figured we'd end up leaving all that. Yeah, we've hit them all. So is there anything standing out in terms of who has positioned themselves the most favorably heading into conference tournament weekend, or who has the most work to do? I mean, you and I are all in on the SEC tournament, so we certainly understand the stakes, and maybe you can give a refresher outline it one more time in terms of the teams. The hosting picture for the SEC is, I think the most they've ever had host was 7. Okay, you've got you might get there again, but I don't think we're getting double digit in. Like, I think it might be 9 teams.
We're not getting 11.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
No,
that's done.
No.
Throw that out the
window. It's going to be 9 or 10 teams
because Georgia's out for the most likely.
But 7 are going to host, I think.
Yeah. That seems right. Just looking at the SEC as a whole, 7 seems right. But we'll see how it plays out in Hoover. I think this is one of the bigger parity tournaments in the SEC that we've seen in a little bit, because you don't have, like last year. Remember, it was Tennessee versus the world, and Tennessee won. They ran right through the tournament. Didn't matter. They won. This year, everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be the same thing," but LSU inserted for Tennessee. Nope, not the case. Not even close. So I'm very intrigued to see how this one plays out, especially with the top 4 seeds: Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Vanderbilt. Any one of them can win the tournament. No question about it. And so could Tennessee as the 7 on it. Like, they really could. So could Alabama, I think. They have a puncher's chance as well.
Let's get to our dudes. Let's close this up in the next 10 minutes. Who's your dude of the final regular season weekend for all intents and purposes?
Yeah, we've already mentioned it. It's Troy Leneve. I mean, I'd say no more. Troy Leneve, with what he did to literally put Vanderbilt back into the top 8 national seed picture, which pays a ton of dividends, especially when you're hosting a super regional like Vanderbilt would hope to do, and have that home field advantage, especially with these guys and this coaching staff that's been there, done that, won a College World Series. I mean, just a massive, massive momentum shift for this team, who was really, on its, hind legs over the last couple weekends, losing to Alabama, losing to Florida, getting swept by Florida. And now they have all the confidence in the world, getting one of the top 4 seeds, getting a bye in Hoover, and it's all because of Troy Leneve. He shifted the momentum in that series with one swing, and then he did it again on Saturday. So, Troy Leneve, dude of the week, easy pick.
Should we go with Trey Jones? Should I go with Trey Jones? Texas A&M
Corpus Christi. Absolutely.
Playing the national anthem with one foot up on the speaker, and it's not even it's a very awkward looking guitar. I don't know. I listened to the video too. It wasn't what I expected.
No.
But this dude is performing the national anthem in uniform.
This is a player on Texas A&M Corpus Christi, by the way, that performed the national anthem with a guitar before playing in the game. It was awesome.
It's worthy of a social display
SDA, absolutely.
affection, nomination, but that's not where I want to go either. And no, my dude, similar to Leneve, it's another senior who went out with a bang. First other miss.
I thought you were going to go Jake Geloff.
No, Danny Lynch. Danny Lynch had 2 Grand Slams in Game 3 over Louisiana to win the series. 2 Grand Slams, tied another mark with 8 RBI, but all of those school records. Of course, senior class showed out under Scott Berry in his final home regular season game on Sunday. But Danny Lynch, 2 Grand Slams. So that guy is my dude.
Should mention Jake Geloff tied the Virginia single season home run record and now broke the RBI record for single seasons of 81, which, by the way, he set last year at Virginia. See, he broke his own record. He's that good. Steak Geloff is doing big things.
I'm looking through our DMs to see what I'm missing at this point. So the Jack Caglione number you had, too, from Jacob Rudner on Twitter. Cags, career-high 7 innings on Saturday, did not allow a run, struck out 8, will end the regular season with 3.96 ERA. He also ends the regular season as Florida's leader in ERA, batting average against, hits as a batter, RBI, home runs, and total bases.
Cags.
Cags.
It's Cags. You're so excited to call Cags game.
No, I cannot wait.
I'm assuming you're going to have the lead for that game no matter what. There's no chance.
I will ask. I will ask Phil permission for that one. Yes. Boston College, this is where I want to go with my hat tip.
Same. Can we do a combined hat tip?
Yeah, you go ahead and take it.
No, you can talk about it, but I think we both have to do this as our hat tip.
Yeah, no, all you, for the sake of time.
So
I endorse. I rubber stamp this.
Listen. So, okay, the Eagles every year play a game at Fenway Park, and it's always their ALS awareness game. So this series actually got shifted with Notre Dame this past weekend, where they were supposed to play 3 games. Friday's game was supposed to be the middle game at Fenway, and then Saturday they'd close up at Harrington Athletics Village. Well, Rain said, nah, you're not playing Saturday. So they end up doing a doubleheader. 12:30 p.m. they play in Brighton, and then 7 p.m. they go play at Fenway.
Oh, wow.
So they got to play a double dip. And by the way, Notre Dame won the first game of the series, so I'm thinking, the lock doctor, Trip Hurd, was right on the money with his Notre Dame minus 115 over Boston College. Well, BC says, lock doctor, you got to go back to the board because they sweep the doubleheader against Notre Dame. And the amazing part about all this is the 11th annual ALS awareness game at Fenway. John West, pitcher for BC, who is a lifelong Red Sox fan, so he's pitching in the home of his team that he has worshipped. He lost his father, Ken, at the age of 13 to ALS. Well, he was on the mound that night for BC and Mike Gambino, and what does he do? A career-high 7 innings for the series win over Notre Dame to give BC a better seed as the 6th seed, their highest seed in the ACC championship, maybe not ever. I have it written down somewhere. But in the series finale in Fenway on the ALS awareness game with all that relates to him, how cool of a story is that?
It's amazing. How can you not be romantic about baseball, right? Just comes full circle. The game continues to give back.
Highest ACC championship seed in program history. I was right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But, yeah, the game continues to give back. And how cool of Mike Gambino, who probably knows that, knows all of that. Red Sox fan, dad died when he was 13 to ALS, to put him on the mound in that moment and trust that he's going to go out and deliver the way that he did. I think that's a really, really high-class move by Mike Gambino. And tip of the cap to John West for going out and doing it and just shoving.
Remarkable story. Remarkable. I'm with you there. That's certainly our hat tip, John West, out of Boston College, and what he was able to achieve and how he was able to honor his father. All Shass Squad, I think we're gonna have
done?
I think we're gonna have to finalize that after conference tournament week.
Yeah.
So, if you see someone, and I'm talking about you, the listener, and you think they deserve a nomination under the All Shass Squad, you slide up in my DMs at Kyle Schass or at CS Now Tweets or at SportsCon4, and you let us know. Odds are we're already on it. Certainly all over it if it's going on in the SEC, where Kahn and I will be all week. But the All Shass Squad, we're gonna have to close the book, finalize that roster, submit the lineup card, dot the I's, cross the T's following conference tournament week. So stay tuned for that when we convene again, which won't be for a little more than a week.
Yeah.
When we react to the,
we'll be
to
together,
the tournament field. Yeah, but when we provide another podcast.
Yes.
So, inject as much of this 60-minute delightful podcast into your mind, into your veins as you can. And hopefully it can hold you over until we meet again, which will probably be on Tuesday after Memorial Day as we pick apart the field of 64. Selection Monday is a week from today as you're listening to this pod. We will have a bracket. We will have regions to dissect, 16 of them.
We will have hot takes about who did not get in and who did get in, just like we did last year.
Many hot takes.
Yes.
And we likely will have bountiful social displays of affection because I did like the Long Beach State one where they polled the players on what their favorite road venue was this year. And, of
Awesome.
course, when Rocco Pepe got the cameo, he said, the Juice Jungle. A lot of love for ECU when Long Beach State made that visit earlier in the year, so that was pretty cool.
And I had one where LSU social media tweeted out that their social media manager graduated over the weekend, and she did the Tommy Tanks. Yeah. She hit the Tommy.
Hit the Tommy.
On stage.
Little lean back, cross the arms.
Great tweet.
She just, she should have revealed maybe a dozen gold chains around her neck.
Oh,
that
my
would have made
God.
it that much better. But, next time she graduates. Yeah. Hey, you can only fail a graduation, so many times. So you only graduate so many times is what I'm getting at. So if she gets another
How many real
opportunity,
graduations do you have, though? You have high school, you have college.
that's what I'm saying. Like, she
That's-
blew it.
Oh,
she
she blew it.
failed.
Okay.
She failed.
All right.
She struck the Tommy.
Maybe
but
she'll
she
go get
wasn't wearing
her
the gold.
graduate degree. Maybe she'll get a master's or a JD
I
or
would-
PhD or whatever.
I would go back to school just for that reason, get another opportunity on the stage.
What did you do
wearing
when
the
you
chains.
graduated the first time?
I didn't do anything.
I didn't either.
We weren't allowed to. Nobody was allowed to cheer or applause or any of that, because then you're not going to hear the next person's name being called.
Oh.
And, of course, there always is some lunatic in the crowd who wants to cheer for their kid, which immediately messes it up for the next person.
I was about to ask you, could you hear your parents and your relatives when you graduated? Because I heard mine immediately.
No.
They called my name, and I heard them from all the way in the way back of the Superdome.
And you know what? Thinking about it, we graduated at it's called First Midwest Bank Amphitheater at the time, artist formerly known as Tweeter Center. Not Twitter. I don't know what it's called
Tweeter
now. It would
Center.
have been Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. It's the largest outdoor amphitheater venue in Illinois and in Chicagoland and in the area. So all these large acts come there. So we had our graduation in there. But we were told explicitly, like, hey, look, if your family cheers, you're not getting your diploma because we're handing you an empty.
Okay.
We're handing you an empty.
Yeah, same thing.
Board.
Yeah.
So, but no, we got through it. We persevered. So,
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Follow your conference tournament of choice this weekend and have fun doing so. You know where to find us at CS Now Tweets, at Kyle Schass, at SportsCon4, at L_Surberino. He's going to put this to the podcast feed first thing in the morning. So hat tip to him as well and his yeoman's work as he has to get through life without us this week as we hit the road first thing tomorrow for Hoover.
And D1 Baseball, Brock's Gap Brewing.
Yes.
We're going to be there. Joe Healy, Mark Etheridge, they'll obviously be there. They're hosting the show. We are invited guests to that show. We will be attending 7 o'clock Central, Brock's Gap Brewing. If you don't know where it is, drive to the Hoover Met and walk across the street. It's right there. $15 for tickets. It goes to a great cause. Arts for Autism, I think, is the cause. It's very near and dear to Mark Etheridge's heart. And you get a free beer. You get to ask a question. You get to meet us. I mean, what more incentive do you need?
Well, Joe Healy and Mark Etheridge are a little more important than us, but hey, we'll be around as well. So follow us on Twitter, follow the D1 Baseball guys, go see them at Brock's Gap, buy a ticket ahead of time as Kahn just encouraged you to do so. We'll catch up with you Monday if we see you. Otherwise, listen to us on the Varsity Network app. Download that app. You can get every single SEC Conference Tournament baseball game into your face, into your skull, into your brain, your earwaves, your brain waves, eardrums. I don't know
And
what
the
I'm saying.
ACC.
Yes, ACC as well. We've got ACC coverage going on in Charlotte.
Durham.
Consume all of it. Durham, back at the DBAP. Leaving Charlotte, back at the DBAP.
Yes.
And so many other conference tournaments from school-specific broadcasts. You can find all of that in the Varsity Network app. Download it if you haven't already. Shame on you, as my grandmother would say. Shame on you.
Big plans next week. We'll tell you about it when we get back.
We will. He's David Kahn. I'm Kyle Schassburger. That's College Sports Now. Off to Hoover.
Bye.
We go. Bye.